ॲम्ब्युलन्स आहे ज्यावरती आणि ही ॲम्ब्युलन्स जी आहे भारतीय सीमेच्या जवळ पोहोचली आहे. मोठ्या संख्येने उत्साह आहे. ढोल ताशे नगाडे वाजवले जात आहेत.
Journalists have actually gathered outside. Vinay, there are some Pakistani news sources that are saying that he has reached the border on the other side in in the cavalcade that is being used to bring him in. There are a lot of Pakistani news channels on that side who are carrying information that Wing Commander Abhinandan has in fact arrived at the Wagah-Atari border on the Pakistan side. That cavalcade has just driven in. If you could just explain to us, and I know you're familiar with the space, this is what we're looking at right now on our screen. This street that you can see on our side of the border, what space is this? What street is this, Vinay?
So this is, so the way, I mean, some people have, I think, probably misunderstand this. The Indian side of the border is called the Atari border because Atari is the name of the village where this particular border is located. And the street that you see actually leads towards the area where the final stretch leading on to the Wagah gates lies. And that's also where the stadium is built. There is a mini stadium that is built on both sides, the Indian side and the Pakistani side, where for the people gather in the evening to watch the beating the retreat ceremony. So where the cameras are currently now, they are some distance away from the actual gate, from the place where the ceremony is organized every evening. So I think this is about a half a kilometer away from that particular place. But the street going down the road, it leads to the Wagah side of the Pakistan border. That's where the two gates are, the Indian side gate and the Pakistani side gate. And the tall flags that you see is where the gates are.
Could we just take the Indian side full frame, please, and have our audience take a better look at the Indian side of the border? There it is, Vinay.
There it is.
So what we're looking at, that gate right now with the SBI ATM next to it.
That is right.
What is that?
So this is where the formal border gate is located. So this is zoomed in. So I mean, if he pulls out, you'll see physically he's at some distance away.
Okay. So we are getting a live, just to remind our audience, we're getting a live feed of the actual gate, and this is being allowed by the Indian government at this point.
And if you see, there's this board at the background which says integrated check post, because this is where people are checked, the papers are checked. If you remember, the Lahore bus goes via this specific road.
Yes.
And whenever the bus starts from Lahore, it is stopped at this border. All the passengers' documents, just like in immigration at the airport, there is an immigration here which checks you. There is also an immigration which is down, I mean, very close, say about 3 kilometers from here, is the Atari railway line, which from where Samjhauta Express passes. So actually, you can walk in that direction and you will reach the railway line on which Samjhauta runs. So there is a immigration center there as well. The Pakistani Rangers on that side and the BSF Jawans on this side, both. In fact, it's a very unusual thing when the Samjhauta Express is reaching the Atari border. BSF Jawans on horses start galloping alongside. And that is done because very often passengers throw contraband outside the windows before the train reaches the immigration. So that's a smuggling technique that is used. And so they actually run with horses alongside the train. So that happens very close to this place. The same thing happens here where the Lahore bus arrives, all the passengers are checked, put through immigration, documents checked, and then they're waved through and it comes out exactly from where you see the ambulance.
And you can see the ambulance is currently, it's circled around and it seems to be taking position in some way. And what you can see behind the barricade is the entire sort of swarm is the only fair description of the Indian media.
Yeah. And this is a defense ambulance. This is not a civilian ambulance.
This is not a civilian ambulance. Yes, that is a defense ambulance. So the media has actually been cordoned off very clearly, has been put aside. And obviously, this is not a situation where anybody wants any sort of, scuffling or disorderly behavior.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the bottom line being that he's just been returned from captivity and hence his, his privacy or his physical health is something we are not fully well versed with. And we have to go by what the Air Force wants us to see or wants us to show as of now before he's put through all the medical tests.
Yes, absolutely. And we can see right now, so obviously there's some action that's going to take place because the border security force, armed border security force has now taken position at that gate. They weren't there a few minutes ago.
That's right. And there is this black Scorpio that I see. And, some of the senior Air Force officers now use Scorpios. So I assume, I can't see the star insignia from here.
Yes.
But it could possibly for senior Air Force officer.
Right. So that's the visual that's coming in. I understand we have Ayushman on the phone line. Can we go back to Ayushman? Ayushman, could you tell us what is happening and if you've picked up any information from our side of the border?
Well, Well, right now, on this side of the border, people are rejoicing with the fact that they were waiting for this moment for past a few hours, and they are now rejoicing. They are shouting the slogans of Bharat Mata Ki Jai. At the same time, the drum beats you can hear in the background. But right now, what we are getting to see is that the forces are ready. Two of the vehicles from Air Force and the BSF, they went inside having the numbers and the stars on them. So it was obvious that senior officials have gone there. And we are also getting reports that Wing Commander Abhinandan is coming towards the Wagah border. So it is, in fact, here right now, on official note, nobody is saying anything. But what we are getting individuals that any moment Wing Commander Abhinandan will be brought to India, and he will be arriving in India.
Absolutely. And Ayushman, what are the people around you saying? Are these only journalists at this point, or are there lay people or civilians who just stood there to cheer for him and to welcome him into the country?
Well, these are the people who came here for the beating the retreat ceremony, as well as a few parts from the Punjab. Also, a few people came who are standing here since morning. They are saying they are proud of Wing Commander Abhinandan, and they have come here just to say that they are feeling proud on the fact that he has managed to come back from India, and that's what they want to convey him. And that's why they are standing with banners, posters, flags, garlands, and drums. And you can see quite a good number of people are standing here on the roadside. The police has done a barricading, and you can hear the drum beats behind me, where these people are saying only one glimpse of Wing Commander Abhinandan, and they will feel that the work is done, and that is what they are waiting for here right now. But as you can see in the visuals, the police have been told to contain these people who are shouting slogans on the other side of the road, as we expect Wing Commander Abhinandan to be on the Indian side any moment from now, Faye.
Okay, we're expecting that exchange to happen any moment from now. If you could just go full frame on the shot of the gate, we'll do. And this is what we're hearing, that of course the police has actually been asked to tell people to quieten down.
Yes, and I think, that's, some amount of over-ambience noise is also not very good. But, I know that the Wing Commander has reached the Wagah border, but it's not going to happen so soon either. There will be some time, because there is some paperwork that is required to be done at the entry. He will have to be processed exactly how an Indian national walks in towards India, having exited Pakistan. So there will be some time lag. Of course, it will happen quicker than it would happen for a normal civilian. But there will be there is some amount of paperwork still left.
Major General P.K. Sehgal still with us. Sir, when you look at these visuals right now, obviously there are people at this point who are dancing and celebrating at the border on the Indian side, and the forces have been asked to sort of ask them to keep quiet a little bit and maintain a certain level of dignity for this event. Do you agree that perhaps, at the border at least there should be slightly more orderly behavior?
There ought to be more orderly behavior, because what is happening is being seen by the entire world. But what you cannot hold back from people's enthusiasm, people's patriotic fervor is a display. People are very enthusiastically and with great amount of expectations waiting to see their own brave man return back. What he has done is something unbelievable. Flying a pristine aircraft vis-a-vis the F-16, he brought the F-16 down, though Pakistan has denied that it was shot, thereby displaying flying skills of an unbelievable variety. The superiority of the man behind the machine stood positively conveyed to Pakistan and to the world at large, that in a far inferior machine he shot an enemy who was far better equipped. And thereafter, his entire behavior once he was shot is of the ultimate variety. Highest professionalism. Before landing, he made sure that all the secret or top secret maps that he had, he chewed them, stroke he put them in the water and destroyed them. Then when he landed, he only gave answers as he was supposed to give as per Geneva Conventions. The others, he refused to give answers, irrespective of the fact that he was under some sort of a mental and physical torture. All that notwithstanding, he displayed the highest qualities of a professional soldier, which has gone very well with the people of India, as well as the people who were collected to meet him, greet him at the Wagah border.
Absolutely. Yes, Vinay.
So there was this visual actually, which is pretty
I don't know whether the man being carried on the...
it's very interesting visual which we just showed. There was this tourist who's obviously entering India via the Wagah border. He's obviously not from either India or Pakistan, and he was on foot. I mean, he's crossing India. And I don't think in his life he would ever expected to come out and see such a welcome. I mean, he's like seeing hundreds and hundreds of commandos there, and you should have seen the bewildered look on his face, because that's not what he was expecting at all.
So obviously, a tourist who has not been reading the newspapers, especially if he's going to make that cross between Pakistan into India, perhaps should have been slightly more informed about what was going on. So this is where we are. Viewers, we understand that the cavalcade that was carrying Wing Commander Abhinandan has arrived at the border on the Pakistan side. We have air marshals on our side who are there to receive him, along with other Air Force officials who got there earlier today. So it's very likely that they're filling out the paperwork that's involved with, the equivalent of immigration and processing that crossover, and we'll probably see it happen in a little while. So here's the question, and this is a question we must ask Mr. Aga, who's a defense expert who's watching right now. We are celebrating, and rightfully so, that it is a victory to have gotten our soldier back. But the real victory of stopping terrorism and getting a handle on the repeated attacks that Pakistan has dealt to India, that is going to be a much longer battle, isn't it, Mr. Aga?
Yeah, it is going to take some time. But we must continue to build pressure. Pakistan is at a very weak position at the moment. It is isolated, economic crisis. I mean, it's facing serious economic crisis in the country. Reason is, the economy is virtually on the verge of collapse. They need money, and this money has to come from two sources, either from Saudi Arabia, UAE, or from United States. United States, not much from United States, but from IMF. So IMF sanctioned loans, he will be able to get loan from IMF only when American allowed it to do so, because Americans are the major stakeholder in IMF and World Bank. So international institutions will not give them money without the American and other European nations' support. Besides this, he needs big money, or at least $10 to $12 billion. Third thing, the Pakistan is already been put on Financial Action Task Force as a grey list of the Financial Action Task Force. So that is another problem the country is facing. For that, he has to stop indulging in funding militant organization, because Pakistan has been blamed for it and asked to take number of measures, and so far they have not taken much, except they have banned the Jamatul Dawa and Falah-e-Insaniyat Trust. Otherwise, not much. And third step he has taken now, the release of our soldier, this Air Force officer. So now he has to take a lot of action, lot of this measure. I think the time has come. Pakistan should realize and resume negotiation. Pakistan has no other option but to negotiate with India at the moment. And sooner or later they'll have to realize this thing. Otherwise, as a nation, they are facing difficulty. As a nation, they are finding, isolation that is too globally. So therefore, we'll have to wait for some more time. And its allies and friends like Saudi Arabia and UAE advising Pakistan that they should change the policy, at least with India. Let's wait and see. I'm very optimistic, I'm hoping, after the election, they'll have come back to the negotiation table. They'll have to deal in the next 2-3 months. They'll have to at least arrest Masood Azhar, Hafiz Saeed, and some other important militant who are operating from their soil. Close down some of the madrasas, which have become the breeding ground for the militancy, which India has been demanding for a long time. So I'm quite optimistic, They have no other option but to change its course. How much time it will take, it is early to say, but probably, after the election, things might. They'll have to build up a public opinion in their own country and have to bring down this issue of Kashmir to a lower level, the temper at this.
Absolutely. So, Vinay, that is also, a long-term priority for India to sort of calm down the environment and the situation in Kashmir right now, which is not exactly ideal or the way we would like it to be at this point.
Yes, and I think a lot of people who are observing and talking about it, especially the people at large, needs to stop treating it like a T20 match where the result has to come in 20 overs. That's not going to happen. The two events, in fact, one of them was planned and the other, the loss of our pilot inside enemy territory, was an unplanned one. That's a collateral that happened.
Yes.
But these are two episodes in a fairly long battle. Neither will things end or stop at what has happened. And nor is this the only way in which we can handle and manage Pakistan. There is a lot more to be done. I think the important point is, somebody said so yesterday, I think on our show, that we need to have a kind of a doctrine which prescribes a continuity of policy. We've never really had a firm continuity of policy vis-a-vis Pakistan. We've tried various things. We've gone hard, we've gone soft, we've talked, we've not talked. There have been periods of ceasefire violation agreements, each of which has been violated. So there's been a lot of up and down in the way we've dealt with it. If there is a consistency of a stand, I think it sends a message across as well that this time you can't talk your way out and talk and create terror at the same time. That's something that is never really. We've had situations, Faye, where high-level talks, including talks at the premier's levels, were happening or about to happen, and major terror attacks or infiltration attempts or CSPs used to happen right then on the same day.
Yes. So actually, if you actually consider right now the situation in Kashmir, which is integral to, it's an integral part of this entire story that we're telling, Kashmir is really on the boil right now. It's perhaps been worse. It's worse now than it has been in several years.
It's pretty bad right now, much worse. There was a period about 7 years ago, 6 years ago, when it was extremely good. In fact, 2 years in a row, they had record tourist arrivals, virtually no incidents, and the incidents have really gone down. It has certainly deteriorated in the last couple of years. But I think a large part of it is also because there is an oxygen now that comes in. You cut off that oxygen supply, which is where the Pakistani angle comes in. And to a large extent, some bit of snuffing out can happen. And I think, again, another point is that while we are dealing with Pakistan, we have to look at certain elements that exist within Kashmir even today who are not exactly working in the best interests of India. And that is something that is extremely necessary to go after, because this is not something that you would tolerate in any part of the country, least of all in Kashmir.
What are you referring to specifically?
So there are, even with separatists, for instance, we've had a very inconsistent policy. Separatists for a very long time were actually part of the official table in Delhi. And now there have been two views on it. A lot of people have said that whether it's the Hurriyat or some other separate leaders, they should not be part of the high table at all.
Yes.
You need to stop entertaining them. But we've been inconsistent about it. If you remember, the Pakistanis always involve them in discussions in Delhi. They invite them over and it becomes a huge controversy every time it happens. When a new High Commissioner comes in, or there is a function or a party or a get-together, the Delhi High Commission, they always invite them and they always go. But now this is where consistency of policy is necessary. We need to figure out, we need to once and for all decide, are they relevant to your Kashmir solution or not? If they are relevant, deal with them. If they are not relevant, you'll have to then fix it once and for all. There is no point in going back and forth.
We'll have to fix it, deciding which way we need to fix it. So, while we're having this conversation and we're waiting for some sort of update from the ground, I do want to introduce a question to the three gentlemen on the panel with me. The question is this. Is the solution right now, and obviously it's a long-term game, it's not something that we can crack overnight, is the solution economic and diplomatic, or is the solution to our Pakistan and terror problem, is it military? Vinay?
All three, in my opinion. You need military, you need diplomacy, and you need economics. I think you need to do all of these three, because neither one alone will solve the problem. Militarily, I think there is a start that has been made by crossing that Lakshman Rekha for sure. There is no doubt about that, because now Pakistan is not sure whether, that we will stick to that so-called self-restraint. We have shown that capability. Diplomatically, it's equally important. India has done that this time very successfully. The fact that today in OIC, historic day when India is occupying the high seat and Pakistan is absent or sulking, I think it's a major victory for us in that sense. And the world support that has come in post-Balakot in any case. But the third thing, which hasn't happened as much, is economic. I think it's Pakistan economy is very, very weak right now. And I think it's the right time to squeeze that further. You cut off the money and it prevents a lot of the oxygen that they get from within to carry out all these activities. And people from within a country can push their governments way better than a force from outside can. And I think that's where there is probably a need to ratchet up a little further.
Major General P.K. Sehgal, you know, while there are several defense analysts who've told us through the course of the day that ceasefire violations are sort of the, you know, they're not normal, but they're not extraordinary. This, I'm quoting one of the panelists here, who said a ceasefire violation is not extraordinary or out of the ordinary, specifically for the Uri sector, the Pooch sector, the Baramulla sector in Kashmir. But we are still losing Jawans. Ceasefire violations have gone up. There is unrest at the border. It is costing us. Is there, would you recommend India look at more of a diplomatic and an economic solution?
We have to continue to apply pressure on every front. I totally agree with my predecessor who was speaking that we have to apply political pressure, we have to apply economic pressure, and we have to apply military pressure. Military pressure is becoming absolutely percipient across the border. We've indicated to Pakistan that our strategy and narrative has undergone a sea change, and there is no way that we're going to tolerate what Pakistan has been doing thus far. Every time they do a thing like this, they will get a bloody nose. Within the valley also, we've gone flat out to ensure that the separatists are isolated. Even Jamaat-e-Islami has been banned, and rightly so, because they should have been banned tens of years back. Similarly, some very stringent action is being taken against those who are now indulging in stone pelting, etc. They've been indicated loud and clear that this will not be acceptable. The military provides an environment for the civils to unleash their part of the game. Every effort is being made by the government of India to win the hearts, the trust and the confidence of people of Jammu and Kashmir through various measures. Some of them are already beginning to be unfurled, but once a wee bit of peace returns, they'll be unfurled in a much bigger way. However, what is very, very important is that we've got to keep up the pressure on the border. The ceasefire violations are taking place only in those places from where the infiltration has been successful because of the lie of the land, the terrain realities and fast-flowing rivulets, etc., where no amount of border fencing can work. And it is from these areas only that infiltrators come. In the last 2 days, there have been 35 ceasefire violations. Pakistan is desperately trying to push in the infiltrators because they know that the situation in the valley is fast turning against them. People are no longer willing to get radicalized to the extent they were getting radicalized earlier. And those who are getting radicalized don't have that sort of a motivation. Besides, they are not trained. They don't have the right type of weapons any longer, nor they have the type of funds that were available through Hurriyat. Hurriyat stands totally exposed. In Mirwais stood totally exposed about 48 hours back. It is high time that Mirwais too is taken into custody, and the law of the land must be brought into play. He cannot live in India and maintain daily contact with the Pakistan through a 40-feet antenna and high power transmitter. These were the people who continue to live off India and actually continue to be totally inimical towards India at the behest of Pakistan. It is high time that their back is broken in entirety and their influence diminished, for which the government may even consider at a point of time to take them out of the valley permanently and put them in jails elsewhere in the country. There is going to be extremely strong backlash initially, but I am very certain with the quantum of troops that are deployed there and the police forces that are deployed there, we will be able to contain it. Do remember that before dawn, it is said that it is darkest before dawn. I can simply see the dawn emerging in a short while, in the sense when I say short while, in a matter of some months. We'll have to await the outcome of elections. After elections, there is going to be no change as far as the policy of the government of India is concerned. Government of India has very clearly indicated to Pakistan that there will never be a compromise as far as terrorism is concerned. Pakistan will have to take concrete, actionable, transparent and credible evidence against the Akas of terrorism. That is Hafiz Saeed, Masood Azhar, Lakhvi, Dawood Ibrahim, Salaluddin, etc. And they will have to roll back the terrorist training camps. If they don't do it, well, India will have the right of self-defense, and we will continue to get into the territory and
what we are being told that Wing Commander Abhinandan has crossed the Wagah border, and people are celebrating out here. They are waiting eagerly for that glimpse of Wing Commander Abhinandan, who is going to come in a short while from now. And he has crossed the Pakistani side, and the reports are there that he is coming to India. These people have been waiting for so long. They have been there for since morning, and they are celebrating right now with the Indian flags and the drum beats along with the chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai. You can see people holding their mobile phones. They want to record that moment when Wing Commander Abhinandan comes out. The vehicles have gone inside to receive Wing Commander Abhinandan. At the same time, if you see, the BSF is guarding that post where the vehicles have gone inside. At the same time, the police, Punjab police, have been told not to let anybody come on that road where people, the cavalcade is supposed to go. You can see people waiting outside. There was no beating the retreat function today. They came to visit, they came to see that, and yet when the event was cancelled, these people stayed there. It's for over 2 to 3 hours they have been waiting. They first went to the Wagah border, and then when they were told that the beating the retreat has been cancelled, they came back and they are still standing there. You can see those posters of Wing Commander Abhinandan where they are saying that it is they are proud of the fact that Wing Commander Abhinandan is coming back to India. You can see the emotions out here, the flags flying high. People are chanting slogans for Wing Commander Abhinandan. Everybody out here is waiting for, with the bated breath, for Wing Commander Abhinandan, who was there with Pakistan for past 2 days, and he's coming back. There were several timing delays, there were differences, and finally what we get to know that he has crossed the Pakistani side and is awaited on the Indian side. What we are being told by the sources that very shortly we can expect Wing Commander Abhinandan to come to Wagah border, and he will be crossing through this very particular road. And you can see that the road is completely empty. The police have been told not to allow anyone to come on that road. The people are on the sides of the road. They are waiting, and they have been waiting for long. This has been the scene for the entire day. People have been chanting slogans. They are waiting for their hero. They have been chanting slogans for Wing Commander Abhinandan, who was captured by Pakistan 2 days before. India has been claiming that it's a victory for India, because the terms and conditions that were set by Pakistan was that a de-escalation is required only then.
All right, so that was Ayushman giving us an update. Unfortunately, we can only link Ayushman up on the phone because there are internet jammers that have been placed right now that prevent us from using our live view. So we can't really get him online, and there's a massive delay. So some connectivity issues there. But what you're looking at on your screen, viewers, if you've just joined us, these are two visuals of the Attari-Wagah border, Attari on our side, Wagah on their side. And we understand that Wing Commander Abhinandan has in fact arrived at the Pakistani side of it. The senior Air Force officials, who are vice chiefs of staff, have actually arrived to pick him up and to meet him. There's paperwork currently underway at the border, after which he will probably be driven out on our side. Vinay?
That's right. He'll be driven out. I mean, I think there is a bit of an area which is a little bit of a no man's land in between the two gates.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, it's technically, because there is some few meters of gap between the two gates. And once he comes over, it is legally our side. I think they will probably put him in a vehicle inside there and drive him out. I think that's perhaps what will happen.
Yes, so we probably only, and we've seen some of the visuals that are currently being circulated by Pakistan television. They only have a cavalcade of cars driving in, and we'll probably see a cavalcade of cars driving out. And that would ideally be the best thing, because you want to be able to give him the privacy that he needs and the dignity that we have been demanding from everybody else as Indian media. We should also give him that dignity at this point. We're going to take a very quick break. We'll be back in about a minute right here on Mirror Now. Don't go anywhere.